Hi. Yes, the next level of space exploration is just beginning. We want to ensure that everyone is on a new way of thinking to accomplish our new goals in space.
Don't adjust your radio. You are being tuned into the coolest talk radio show around. All the way out to the observable universe. You are about to embark on a new journey. Listening here to the coolest of the cool, the Cooley Cool Show.
Yes, you're listening here live on the coolest of the cool, the Cooley Cool Show. Kicking here live on this Hump Day Wednesday. Yep, if you haven't done so already, be sure to follow us on our other social media platforms. You can follow me on my TikTok channel, Cooley Cool Show, and my YouTube channel, also labeled The Cooley Cool Show. You can be sure to also follow us on my Twitter account at CooleyCool2412. You can also follow me on my Instagram page at Brent_the_champ. And just to let you know, if you missed any of the episodes here and you want to hear from the beginning or in other episodes, check us out on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Yes, you're listening here to the coolest show around, all the way to the observable universe. Yep, we kick it from coast to coast, north to south, and yes, maybe even in Antarctica. And if you're in Antarctica, what's about them aliens, yo? Yep, we're about to get started in just a couple of seconds here on this Wednesday night. Just getting everything set up for this amazing episode. Yeah. Remember, you're listening here to the coolest show around.
Now, you are tuned into the most coolest talk radio show around. We reach all the way out to the cosmos and all the way out to the observable universe. Yes, you are listening here live on the Cooley Cool Show. Now, without further ado, the man that exudes nothing but coolness, your host, Brent.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Oh, you guys are too kind. Too kind. Too kind. Yes. Awesome. Yep. Thank you for listening here, tuning in. If this is your first time listening to the Coolest of the Coolly Cool Show, be sure to follow us on other social media platform. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Um, definitely appreciate all my great listeners. All two of you. Amazing. So, like I said, we are the premier show. We rock it from coast to coast, north to south, and yes, maybe even in Antarctica. I know they got a lot of secrets down in Antarctica. So, the title of this episode is called Ancient Aliens or Massive Deception. And that's pretty much how we're going to bring this. I mean, I was watching, I don't know if many people have watched the old episodes or the show that used to, forgot what channel used to come on or whatever, but it's called Ancient Aliens. And they would talk about all these, back in the day, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years ago during, like, Roman, Greek times and, Egypt and pyramids, things. And they would talk so extensively about ancient aliens having visited this earth. And as they visited Earth, they, you know, were working along with humans and teaching them certain things and helping them develop and all this other shit. Right? So, it got me thinking. Like, it's just kind of funny and odd that a lot of the old artifacts that at this point in time that we have collected as history and studied and figured what our primitive or people ancestors did back in the day, and they've all tried to say that they've were drawing you know pictures on rocks because they had paper back then, or scrolls, and they would always depict some type of being coming from the sky. And, they would be either in some type of shape or form of showing that it was in some type of spacecraft or a person. I mean, it's not too far fetched to know that a lot of times throughout history, many people have said, "Oh yeah, that existed," or "We've seen the same exact thing," and they date this back to so many years, and then it obviously to the modern times, to the present, we have people doing the exact same thing all over the world. But how much, or if any of that, is actually true or factual? You know, one person's perspective on something is could be completely different to another person. And I believe I've touched a little bit bases on this about how um, some people would do this as for some type of publicity or to be acknowledged, things of that nature. So it really kind of leads to, is any of this shit true? I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm like the next person. Would suggest that if they say that, the universe is as big as it is, that they always talk about, that we could see to the other side of the observable universe, I would assume that maybe since it's that fucking big, that obviously, there might be other life forms that are out there. Um, which, I mean, if you're saying that, every grains of salt, or I'm saying sand here on Earth, that is how big the observable universe is. I mean, that's pretty fucking big. You know, besides anyway, whoever made that analogy, you're 100% insane. Just to let you know that, because that makes entirely no fucking sense. But you know, who am I to disagree? To travel the worlds and the seven seas, everybody, who am I? But literally, whoever made that statement is completely just bound on just they're fucking screw loose. Their common sense fucking screw loose. You know, I've always said, the way they say things and the way they do, like, I just challenge a lot of things. Okay, if you're gonna say something like that, as far as we can see to the observable universes, as far as we can see, but when it comes to saying people seeing certain UFOs here and on, you know, here on Earth, the skies, there's always some type of clarity issue where it's not that clear, it's a little fuzzy. And we live in the era of 4, K, you know, uh, screens and cameras and HD quality, but we really, can't clarify and zoom in on, an amateur camera on your phone, looking at a maybe that might be an alien spaceship or some shit. We have issues there, but we distinctly can spot out what other galaxies look like on the other side of the observable universe. Hmm. Don't know. It's not something's not stirring the pot, but it is what it is. Um, and especially considering the fact that they've said, aliens have came here and traveled. I mean, they must be traveling an awfully long motherfucking way. And by the time they actually come to this earth, they must be old as shit. Their life expectancy or lifespan must be longer than the fucking, or as the same as the motherfucking elves from the Lord of the Rings. Since apparently the elves in that movie live forever. They get to a certain age point, then it's just like, all right, you just same age, motherfucker, for the rest of forever. You know, because as we're told that the universe, ever since the Big Bang Theory, that the universe is ever expanding. So that would mean, as I'm going to say this, as the universe is ever expanding, then that means us to travel to some other uh, Earth type, or which whenever the Earth is closest to us, just a planet that in an infinite amount of time we will never reach it. Because we don't. Well, I don't want to even say that we don't have the technology part, but the basis of was it physics, as they have said, because of the Earth is ever expanding, that we would never reach that other planet, that other star system, whatever, because the universe is ever expanding. And as it is ever expanding, we cannot catch up in an infinite amount of time. But they want to stress that aliens can somehow propel their ass here to Earth and visit numerous and several times over and over at their leisure and pleasure, you know. Um, and when we look at it, it seems like, Earth is just like a hot commodity because, like I said, we're dating some of the stuff that has been on, I guess, records from ancient civilizations, and they've have said the same thing up into the sky. They've seen something, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm just gonna kind of make sure I keep this in content so that way we can all be on the same plane level. For instance, um, you have to look at this primitive times. I mean, okay, I'm really trying to put this without really ruffling any feathers. But in primitive times, i.e., back in the old pyramid Egyptian times, right? You had a pharaoh that was the ruler of, all these people. And he had tons and tons and tons of slaves, right? Tons of them. And at no some point in time did any of these slaves decided to have an uprising to say, fuck this, man, I'm not gonna fucking be a slave and deal with this shit. But apparently they all kept rolling with the program, just like, well, fuck it, we're just gonna. It's been clarified in dated in time that our human, species wasn't really that bright at all. Weren't really that fucking intelligent. I mean, considering the fact that, you know, um, magic as we know as today, obviously it's sleight of hand, it's a lot of deception, trying to get you to look maybe another way so that way they can fool you real quick. But we know that that's not real. We know that magic's not real. Now, we do know that if you were to do it on unsuspecting people, then you could fool them. Now, just imagine you being able to do sleight of hand tricks and magic, and you're placed back in those primitive times. You would look like a fucking like you had superpowers. You would look like as though you were the fucking just be all entity of everything. And what you're really doing is being deceptive at what you're portraying. So, what does it think that some of these pharaohs maybe kind of had got a little hint on figuring something out because they're like, whoa, I kind of can do this and I can get people to kind of convene or convey to what I want them to do for me. Mm, it doesn't sound that bad. Get people to believe that I have supernatural powers or tell them some bullshit things. If you don't do this, I will bring the wrath of this from you see in the sky and drown down, because like I said, a lot of the people back then weren't that intelligent and a lot had to go with, as far as reading and writing. Not the primitive back then, a lot of people, well, but vast majority of people did not know how to read and write. More or less, a lot of them didn't even know when they were born and didn't know how old they were. And it's not their fault. So I'm not placing blame onto them. It's just the fact of how certain things were done back then. And as I said in my other podcast, and I don't think I've done a really extensive one on history that much, but I have talked about the Great Awakening and the Second Great Awakening, where, like I said, people of religious, faith were doing certain things because they felt that they wanted to pass the church and its religion and its thought process out to the masses, and a lot of people were going along with it. Not to say anything wrong with religion, but not to see people were believing what they were being told back then because one, they didn't know how to really comprehend what was being true or said to them being actual and just some type of, fictitious meaning to it. And they might have taken it as far as, well, this guy's up here standing up here talking about it and preaching it, then it must be real, you know? So they take it as far as what it is. Like, oh man, it's real. Isn't it the same pattern? Or more or less, isn't it kind of a beginning pattern to throughout the course of history? People found themselves at a very vulnerable stage to where not many people were able to comprehend things or to understand things. And you had certain individuals who just were a little bit above the curve and were able to exploit that for their own potential gains. And think about it. I've said beforehand, what's one way to kind of keep people in line? I mean, you see this in movies and TVs. I've talked about before as far as the movies where they would always have an impending alien invasion where these aliens were just came here, were fucking pissed off at here at Earth, and for some odd fucking reason, we did something bad to them. They was like, I'm gonna beat your ass, for some odd fucking reason, from just anything, just, or there would be some fear thing about, oh, it's an asteroid impending, it's gonna blow up the fucking Earth, and we're gonna have to have oil drillers go out in outer space and fucking drill into the fucking rock, and they would have some like, you know, uh, thing that would be from outer space that would keep us somewhat in line because oh my gosh, I fear that this happens, so we have to stop this. I've discussed about how in the year 2199 to like 22 or something like that, 70 years, I think it's 2170 to 2180 or something like that. And well, good 300 something years that they said that there's an impending asteroid that is headed for Earth, and that they wanted people to fund to be able to send rockets up now, so that way they can take out the rocket. Yeah, but they needed funding in order to do so. Why? But like I said, it's uh, some type of thought process to where you know it's always some fear driven objective which is steady behind uh sleight of hand and deception, along with hidden agendas, which those hidden agendas are of greed, and the greed is that of power. And you can know what I'm going to say because I say it all the time on my channel. And if you don't know now, you need to understand that I speak the truth on it. It is simply this. So, here comes the money. Here we go. Money talk. Here comes the money. Money, 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 money. Dollar, dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling. Chatter. Yes, I'm just telling you, that is probably the main thing in it all. I mean, think about it. Ancient aliens. They've said that the pharaohs might have been aliens. But let's get on to the before we start talking about pharaohs and stuff back then, where aliens or might have been aliens. But they've said that these pharaohs back in the day, were so rich and so powerful. And I'm saying, look, think about it. They're rich and they're powerful, and they're telling people some bullshit in some type of way, having to look up into here and see certain things out at the night sky or whatever. And people would be like, I believe there's something out there. This seems to be an alien force. I mean, like I said, and then people were slaves back then. And then if you were to kind of convene to tell them, say, hey, if you just pass it, this is that going on, and I might grant your freedom. What do you think the slave's going to do? The slave's not going to be saying, I want to be a slave and be happy about it. No. They're going to be like, fuck it, I don't have a chance not to be a slave anymore. Have some freedom. Even though the Pharaoh, he's probably like, I'm just saying this shit just so that way he can pass the message across to other people so that way they can believe into what I'm telling them, which is being directed by the Pharaoh. So that way everybody gets along. It's just shit like that. And don't think, if I'm talking about it, trust me, somebody else has thought about it and somebody else has probably already acted upon it. So that's one thing is like right now you're listening here to the greatest podcast ever, the Cooley Cool Show, right? My head, okay? So as you're listening to this podcast, just take this in perspective as for a common sense perspective and think, like I just said, if I'm talking about that, don't think that somebody hasn't also thought about it and then somebody has acted upon it. So, as for instance, all right, I like to give examples. It's my main thing. Like to do, like to give good examples, or so I think. So, right now you're listening to my channel, okay, my show. So, think about it with a common sense perspective. As you're listening to my podcast right here, all two of my great listeners. Right now, somebody's getting slapped upside the head. Okay, just whoop, slapped upside the head. And trust me, it's more than one person that's getting slapped upside the head while I'm doing this podcast right now. There is multiple people probably around the world that's getting smacked upside the head for saying something dumb or just being like getting made fun of or homies cracking on him say, hey, I got it's happening. All right. So trust me, if that's happening and that's just a small little thing, think about as we're talking about this is full circle, as many people say, oh, I see something in the sky. It looks like, I don't know, some type of thing in there. If that person from that area is saying that, then guaranteed somebody else from somewhere else is probably seeing or saying something too, not just necessarily thinking it's an alien life form or something like that, but they're interpreting maybe, I don't know, shooting star or somebody playing something in the lights doing something fucking crazy. And we're talking ancient time, okay? Ancient time. So, I mean, that's you can't put it past. And then, like I said, to go along with the fact that back then people really weren't that intelligent back then, even though, the scholars, the highly educated, love to give the fucking ancient people back then tons of credit for, saying, oh, they're fucking amazingly, smart. They were creative. They were developing certain things and this and that. I'm like, what? Doesn't make fucking sense. Doesn't fit the narrative of reality based situations, compared to the fact that they were able to, deceive people back then to get them to do whatever because people weren't that intelligent. And it's been shown that they really weren't that intelligent. I mean, and then one thing that I always talk about is like, look at how these ancient, feats were built and made. Like the pyramids were made. We can't replicate that anything. No, we can't. You wanna know why we can't replicate building the pyramids of Egypt anymore? Because we don't have fucking a million some fucking slaves to do that shit. I'm not being mean about it. We don't have fucking straight up million slaves being threatened and being said, oh, well, this thing is going to come out of here. And it got Grandmaster who's sitting up on top of the stage telling them to fucking do it. And he's going to do some song and dance fucking act or fucking magician trick to fucking scare the shit out of these people who are not that intelligent. So of course these people are going to fucking work their ass off because they fear what they don't know. So of course the pyramid's going to be built. And the pyramid's going to be built a certain way. They're like, well, they traveled it from crosses. Yes, that's what happens when you have millions of fucking slaves, people working around the fucking clock, and you're threatening the shit out of them. Come the fuck on. This is like 101 common sense. Have common sense and to understand that these shows, the documentaries, all this. No. Stop it. Just stop with the nonsense. Like, it is fucking ridiculous. Like, we really try to set ourselves, like, I don't even know if I want to say the part apart, or we keep thinking that, well, let me retract for a minute. We as humans have to have a purpose for something. We have to have a reason for something. We have to make a justification for anything and everything that happens. It's not human of us to not question things. We have to figure out a reason why. So, we've got to come up with some type of way of thinking in order to, understand our own existence. And frankly, when you start doing that, your mind starts dabbling into the land of, make believe, probably, because you have to justify something. This goes back to why the guy slapped you in the back of the head. I don't fucking know. He just wanted to. Well, that doesn't make much sense. I didn't do anything then. You didn't have to do anything then. You just felt like slapping in the back of the head. Well, I don't understand. Stop fucking asking questions. Alright? Just know that the motherfucker was crazy and he just decided to slap you in the fucking back of the head. Alright? He didn't need a fucking reason. He's just fucking crazy. He's the fucking out there. Section fucking 8. Okay? He's like, I'm smacking the back of my fucking head. Alright? Stop asking why you need a fucking question behind it. Just know that, hey, I don't know, that motherfucker out there somewhere. But we humans have to continuously ask questions on why this, why that, why. I have to fucking know why, motherfucker. Fuck! I mean, think about it. We talk so much about the ancients being so highly intelligent, coming up with, astronomy and the mathematics, things and that. I mean, look here. Eh, During the Greeks' time, the Roman times, when they were the top dogs running stuff, just holding it down, was like, yo, we running things. Why is it that they seem as though they were highly intelligent, as far as things that back then, were going on? They, apparently had everything locked down, the biggest army. They were living lavishly, but in the same sense, the way they were doing things, they were still doing it in the common sense way. Well, not the common sense way of, you know, let me put it this way. They weren't developing. They only developed to a certain point. And people say, well, that's just how, the mind evolution took place in that part. Really, it's kind of hard to think that if it wasn't for the fact that they wanted to maintain a certain level or grasp on people, or just in general. I don't know. I mean, compared to now, where many people are starting to have an open thought, starting to recognize things, because people are able to understand more, able to be more intelligent on things, and everybody's now, even though asking questions, but at the same time, is beginning to have their own thought process of things. They're no longer just following, you know, what everybody else is doing in fear of something happening. I tell you right now, if they're to say, oh, there's an asteroid coming, it's going to hit us, what the fuck are we going to do? This isn't the movies, or we're not going to be able to stop a fucking asteroid the size of a fucking continent from colliding to the Earth. I don't give a shit what fucking movie or what space program is developed, whatever technology. That's just not feasible. That's just not reality. That just cannot fucking happen. But guess what? In the hindsight, I don't think it's gonna fucking happen. Only because there's so much space out there in outer space, and that, as they say, the Earth is just out there in the vastness of dark ass space. That you know, for something rock or whatever come to hit us, okay. I mean, I put it this way. I mean, put it this way. If you ever baseball, the balls hit in any and everywhere direction. But there can be some times where a player is standing in a remote spot out in the field and the ball's hit to them out of all the fucking space that's out there. Apparently, the baseball found its way to go to exactly to that player out in their outfield, just standing in a certain spot. That's not by, well, it was deemed to happen. That's just by coincidence. But you will have somebody believe it was like, it was on a course headed this way. Really? What the fuck are you talking about? No. I don't know. Hmm. I mean, we give too much respect on the ancients and their way of thinking and them being primitive, and then us now where we have more intelligence to understand things. I mean, let's go for this one. I'm gonna touch the base on this one real quick. For instance, for a period of time, um, they said that the world was flat. Yep, they said the world was flat, and it was told that way for the longest time. They said the Earth is flat. Everything revolves around the Earth. The Earth is the center of the universe, right? But then all of a sudden, there was a big change, a big shift, and they said the Earth now it's a globe. It's curved. So we all began to believe and conform to the fact that the Earth is a ball. It's curved. Things go over the horizon. You know, um, just cool. I'm not disputing. I'm just saying. But those people apparently calculated this from individuals in an era where, once again, people weren't that intelligent, and for them to say, I want some notoriety, I want to be considered special among everybody and the people. So guess what? I might be deceptive and tell people some bullshit in order to just get my shit that I want across to the vastness of the people. And remember, not many people were able to read and write. So you figure you tell the lie long enough, the lie eventually becomes the truth because no one else is going to eventually challenge it because it's going to be so long to where the lie is no longer in existence. It's done faded the fuck out. And people say, well, those are the mathematics or the things of that. Yeah, there's mathematics. That was devised by a person who wanted it to be a certain way. You know? And as I said, you can't argue as far as, you know, when flat earthers kind of go against the norm and will have somebody saying things like, what are you talking about? This is you're one of them flat earthers. I'm not a flat earther. I'm a glober. I believe in the globe. That's just what I believe, But like I said before in my podcast, I take in the concepts of what some flat earthers talk about. Now, some flat earthers talk about some insane shit. All right. But sometimes what they do talk about is some stuff that leads you to kind of expand and open your mind to be like, hold on, shit doesn't really make much sense. Now, me personally, I don't talk about any like, oh, the earth is flat, the earth is ball. I'm going to dispute this, or we're going to challenge, I don't do any of that. All right? I don't have time or the inclination to the very freedom of which I provide. I would have just said, you said thank you, and went on your way. Otherwise, I suggest you pick up a weapon and man a post. Either way, I don't give a damn what you think you're entitled to. So, if you don't know that line, that's from A Few Good Men. It's by Colonel Jessup, who was played by Jack Nichols. I thought I had to put it in there. That one, to sneak it in there. But that's pretty much. I mean, that's how I think. I pretty much, like I said, I do take the concept as, hey, there's stuff that's been told in our history that motherfuckers lie, okay? And they lie a lot, all right? They lie about shit that's just like, what the fuck? I touched about it briefly about Christopher Columbus. Yeah, we still have a goddamn fucking, I think, a holiday listed in there. I don't think kids take off school. I think they maybe do, but there's Christopher Columbus is still portrayed as, oh yeah, he was good, but it's been proven that, hey, yeah, they didn't tell us the other shit. Why'd you lie to us about him being courageous and this and that? What are you talking about? Who? What's his name again? And then as they're saying, what's his name? What? Slowly walking it away because they don't want to answer the fucking question. It's just certain things that you have to understand that throughout history, people are going to be fucking crooked. As people say, there's always that smiley slurlack that's twirling his mustache and saying, you have somebody that's always fucking doing that. And when they're doing that, they're doing it for their own hidden agendas, for their own fucking reasons behind why they're doing it. And a lot of it has to do with power and money. Always. If you don't think so, I'm telling you the truth. It is what it is. It's always fueled by.
Here comes the money. Here we go. Money talk. Here comes the money. Money, 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 money. Dollar, dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling. Cut the chatter.
I'm telling you, it's fueled by that. It always will be. Okay? I mean, that is just a fact. Okay? We place value in certain things because we believe that it holds some type of relevance. I mean, a person can commit the same crime. Two people commit the same crime. And guess what happens? One person will go and get a private attorney, one of the best, because they have the money to split the bill for it. The other person doesn't. Might have to not have an attorney. Might get a regular public defender, somebody to represent them by the state or whatever. Now, in consideration, what will happen? The person probably paid out the money to get the higher paid lawyer, probably going to get off. While the other person, there's going to be some repercussions. Just saying. This world is fueled on the money issue, money aspect. Now you say money makes the world go round. Yeah, money makes the world go round, and it also makes people be deceptive into getting it. The root of all evil is what? Money. I don't think that's not true. I think that's very true because money makes people do some certain things. I mean, how many times let's see, somebody becomes famous and then they forget where they came from, and then now they're acting a certain way that it never would have acted if they didn't come into that money or that limelight or that fame. And now they think they're high and mighty, bigger and better. We are seeing all and everything that is and has happened, but in just a different light and different situation. So back to the ancient old pharaohs, they pharaohs wanted to keep their power and wanted to keep their whole thing in check and maintain their respect and have all the things and economy and live a lavish lifestyle. What did they do? They had the money, they had the power, and they certainly had the influence over a lot of people because guess what? They weren't that much smarter, but they were just able to figure things out a little bit more than the other person were. So, it is what it is. It's pretty fucked up, but in the same sense, I mean, notice how. Put it this way: history repeats itself sometimes, but just sometimes, if it does repeat itself, it just repeats itself in a different way where it's not exactly the same as before. Kind of get it? I hope you do. If you don't, just I don't know. Just like and subscribe anyway to get some more. Okay. So, I mean, ancient aliens or massive deception. I don't think there's any type of ancient aliens. I don't think there ever has been. I honestly believe that it's exactly what I said. Um, Many of this talks of ancient aliens, it's people seeing probably the same thing or coming up with the same idea as a person from here to the next area, the next country, or way across the oceans, wherever. They have the same thought process, same idea, and they're just running with it. And unfortunately, we like to tend to think, well, we can't believe with all these different sightings, it can't be this way considering how it is. There's no way. There's no way this could be just a coincidence. No, it's a coincidence it's a coincidence in the situation that people make up shit in order to field their own hidden agendas, fueled by the almighty dollar billion. It is. So, I don't know. It's just it's one of those things. I don't know. And oh, time's almost up already. Oh, Jesus goodness. Oh. Well, we've come to another concluding end to another wonderful episode here on the Cools with the Cool, the Cooly Cool Show. Your host Brent. Like I said, this is part one. We're gonna do a part two later on. I can't guarantee it's gonna be tomorrow. But I guarantee we are definitely gonna do another part two to this. Yeah. So, it's a good topic of discussion. I just want you guys to understand, to open your mind, and not be so close-minded on things. You know. So, like I said, we rock it from coast to coast, north to south, and yes, maybe even in Antarctica. And if you're in Antarctica, is there any oil down there? Any resource? I don't know. But if you haven't done so already, be sure to follow us on our other social media platforms. You can follow me on my TikTok and YouTube channel, both labeled The Cooly Cool Show. You can follow me on my Twitter account, CoolyCool2412. You can also follow me on my Instagram page at Brent_the_champ. And if you missed any episodes you want to see from the beginning or any other episodes of mine, you can check us out on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and above all, Spreaker.com. So, as always, take care and have a good one. Take care. Bye.